Welcome back. Let's talk tech, the changing relationship between business and technology. Deloitte is out with its 10th annual Technology Trends Report, detailing the key issues that will transform business. Joining us right now in a First on Fox Business interview is Deloitte Consulting Chief Technology Officer Bill Briggs. Bill, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Maria.
So we talk about artificial intelligence a lot. It could be the biggest story in tech, certainly right now, and AI making headwinds as well in terms of big news. Tell us how it's transforming business.
Yeah, it's shifted from a tactic to at the heart of strategy. So AI in particular, one of the trends is about it's actually informing business models and new offerings. You take a step back. 10 years ago, we started this report, and technology was a back office concern, was an enabler of the business. And now every company is a technology company. It's actually driving kind of broad stroke strategy. And we look at it, the audience used to be the CIO, the CTO. There was a group that was responsible for technology in big companies. It's now a CEO level, even a board level concern.
What's it doing? Tell us how it's changing various
technology
industries.
at large.
Yeah. Or AI or machine learning. What is it?
AI. We have one of the examples, one of the leading health plans partnering with a research hospital and an academic institute and a startup to say, how do we treat allergies in a different way? Understand them at a personal level. With AI, we can understand exactly what affects every individual and maybe prevent the disease, not just treat it better or care for it better. It's those types of examples. Banking, the future of every retail experience is actually being informed by AI, and it goes on and on.
Is it something, as you look at the effect of AI, that is additive to the workplace, that will create jobs and spur growth, or is it something that's going to replace jobs?
Yeah, no.
And the big fear out there.
We're bullish on augmentation. So how do we use the technology to help elevate the individual, help move from rote repetitive tasks into something with more purpose, and so it's a broader additive effect. It's not a replacement. That's what we think the long-term effect will be.
One of the big fears, apropos of that, is that we're all going to be replaced by robots.
Exactly.
And nothing for us left to do except for a few people like you who tell us what to do.
No, we're not even tying our sneakers anymore.
Yeah. So
the robots will take that one.
Allay those fears. And by the way, artificial intelligence. Our friend Mark Mills says that's like saying planes are artificial birds, or cars are artificial horses. It's a terrible name. It's just a tool for business.
Which is, we use it for cognitive. We call it cognitive, to take a little bit of edge. I mean, we put and do a lot of research on the future of work. Technology automation is a big piece of that, for sure. But there's other dimensions, too, about the nature of what is important, the skills that we need, how do we actually think about it. We actually put a risk implication in every chapter, and we look at security and privacy and the ethics and morality of some of these technologies. Just because we should, just because we can, should we? Says it better that way. Just because we can, should we? So it's one of the topics of our age, for sure. I just wouldn't say it's not just AI and it's not just the idea of jobs. It's a broader story about the future of work and how it evolves.
Do you have any speculation on what blockchain's going to do to privacy in the future, allowing us to control our data again?
Yeah, we look at blockchain. You look at cloud and analytics as two of the bigger building blocks 10 years ago. Blockchain and AI and cognitive, we think, are two of the biggest ones. When we look back, they'll be just as big. There's the future of trust, the future of assets. And so that's the storyline as we see it be applied across every industry. So it's one of the big areas that we're driving. I mean, literally, the future of healthcare, the future of government services. Blockchain is a part of that story.
Tell us about 5G, because I know that 5G is on the horizon. There aren't any 5G phones right now, but what effect are these new forms of connectivity like 5G having on broadband?
Yeah, think about the fact we can have this connectivity at scale across the world, and that unlocks potential. One of the trends about the connectivity tomorrow. So it's literally what could we do with all of the machines being able to talk to each other at the speed of processing? I mean, how do we think about what that unlocks new opportunity-wise? It's massive. And we look at, I was at CES last week, so one of the broader trends of the convergence of consumer and enterprise technology, 5G is front and center, but we also saw robotics, we also saw AI, and some of the things that we're looking at a little bit further, like quantum computing. What does that mean? The future of robotics, physical robotics.
Is 5G's implementation going to be hurt by cities trying to shake companies down?
Put 5G on garbage cans. Put 5G everywhere.
It'll be a leapfrog effect for sure. And the beautiful thing, connectivity used to be a limiting factor of what we could think of. And we imagine the future, and it was one of the things that would stop us from having some bold pursuits. That won't be there anymore. So all of a sudden, you have broadband access to the most remote oil rig or on the retail store as you're walking through. What can we do do with that? And we're just starting to see that unfold.
It's incredible. Our phones are going to get much better.
Yeah, well,
with 5G, I assume.
Yeah, and beyond the phone, one of the trends is about intelligent interfaces. How do we see voice? How do we see computer vision? We thought we were clever because we went from point and click and type to touch and swipe. The future is a much more natural, intuitive
post-phone world, your glasses or anything else, maybe.
Post-digital. I mean, there's a great quote that people misattribute to Steve Jobs. It was actually Da Vinci. The ultimate form of sophistication is simplicity. Well, the ultimate form of simplicity is transparency. I don't even interact with technology in a deliberate sense.
Wow. That's incredible.
Financial transactions. That's financial transactions, which are still very complicated today.
Yeah.
Blockchain's going to blow that away.
Well, it's one of the examples of the beautiful is we're going to take friction out of the system in every place.
Really fascinating stuff. Bill, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great to have you on the program this morning. Bill Briggs from Deloitte.